My 9-year-old son knows the exact date I'm going to die. It started 3 weeks ago when I found Luca sitting at the kitchen table with our calendar. He'd circled December 8th in red marker. When I asked what was special about that date, he looked up at me and said, "That's when you stop." I asked what he meant. He tilted his head and said, "Your heart stops on December 8th at 4:17 in the afternoon." Then he went back to coloring. I felt cold all over. I asked him why he would say something like that, and he shrugged. "I just know things now. I started knowing 2 weeks ago." The next morning, I came downstairs and he'd written 26 days on the bathroom mirror in soap. When I asked what it meant, he said, "That's how many days you have left." I checked the calendar. It was exactly 26 days until December 8th. That afternoon, my mom called. Luca answered and I heard him say, "She can't talk long. She only has 25 days and 6 hours left." But that night, Luca handed me a piece of paper. He'd written out a timeline. December 8th, 4:15 p.m. Mom leaves work early. December 8th, 4:16 p.m. Mom pulls into driveway. December 8th, 4:17 p.m. Mom's heart stops in the car. My hands were shaking. I asked where this was coming from. He said, "I see it when I close my eyes. I see lots of things now. I started seeing them 2 weeks ago when I woke up and everything was different." I made him sit down and tell me what he meant. He said he could see things that hadn't happened yet, but only bad things. Only when people were going to die. I asked if he'd seen anyone else. He nodded and said, "Mr. Brennan from next door. November 22nd at 11:40 in the morning." November 22nd was 4 days away. Every day after that, Luca would update the countdown. 23 days left. 22 days left. He said it the same way he'd tell me the weather. I called our pediatrician, but they couldn't see us for 2 weeks. When November 22nd came, I watched Mr. Brennan leave for work that morning. He waved at me like always. Luca was sitting on the stairs behind me. He said he won't make it to lunch. At 11:43 a.m., an ambulance showed up at the Brennan house. Heart attack at his office. He died before they got him to the hospital. I couldn't breathe. Luca walked over and squeezed my hand. "I needed you to believe me," he said, "so you'd know December 8th is real." I grabbed my keys and drove him straight to the emergency room. They ran every test. My heart was perfect. Blood pressure normal. The doctor said I was completely healthy. On the way home, Luca said, "It doesn't matter what they find. It still happens." Then he showed me his notebook. Pages and pages of predictions. He'd written down 12 other deaths with exact dates and times. 3 had already happened. I looked them up. Every single one matched. I called my sister and begged her to come over. When she got there, Luca wouldn't talk about any of it. After she left, he said, "She doesn't believe you, but she will on December 3rd when her dog dies at 2:20 in the morning." 5 days later, my sister called me at 2:35 a.m., sobbing. Her dog had just died in her sleep. She kept asking, "How did he know? What's wrong with him?" I didn't have an answer. But December 8th was now only 11 days away. I stopped driving. I took leave from work. I stayed home with every door locked. If I never got in the car, never went to the driveway, maybe I could change it. On December 7th, Luca came into my room and said, "It won't work. You still go outside tomorrow. I've seen it 40 times now." I asked why I would go outside. He said, "Because of me. You go outside because of me." The next day, December 8th, I didn't leave my bedroom. I unplugged everything. At 4 p.m., I was still inside. At 4:15 p.m., I heard Luca scream from the front yard. I ran downstairs and threw open the front door. He was lying on the driveway, completely still. I sprinted over and dropped to my knees beside him. Then he sat up. He looked at his watch and whispered, 4:17 p.m. My chest locked up. I couldn't breathe. Everything went dark, and I felt myself hit the ground. The last thing I heard was Luca crying and saying, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how else to make it stop." I woke up in the hospital 2 hours later. The doctor said I'd had a severe panic attack. My heart had stopped for 50 seconds, but they got it back. Luca was next to my bed. He said, "I don't see anything anymore. It all went away when your heart stopped." He's been in therapy for a month now and hasn't made a single prediction since.